What's up everyone, it's Victon here with another Path of Exile guide. Today we're going to be going over a crazy currency making strategy for the Mayhem event. I personally use the strategy to farm up hundreds of chaos on the first day of the league and kickstart my build. Best thing about this is you can do this method even before finishing the campaign. Also, there's no trading involved, you can just single-handedly solo self-farm hundreds and hundreds of chaos, and literally any build in the game can do this, even a leveling build with zero currency invested. This method might not be the newest thing on the block, but I will also be sharing some of my tips and tricks on how to min-max your farming to make sure you have an efficient strategy to get the most chaos per hour. Before we get into the guide though, if you end up enjoying this guide or any of my many other Path of Exile guides, do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. I also have a Patreon which will be linked in the description below, and any of my subscribers over there or on my Twitch get access to my community Discord where we talk about build guides all day, every day, and I'm always happy to help you guys with build reviews in there as well. Anyways, with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the guide. So first and foremost, like I said, any build can do this. The only requirements is that you're doing it in an eye level 60 to 75 zone. That is of course because we're going to be abusing the chaos farming strategy by farming the hell out of rogue exiles. Basically, the way the Mayhem event works is every hour, each zone in the game gets a new random set of modifiers, like 20 evasion bosses, 10 breaches, or 20 exiles, just to name a few. And that last one, 20 exiles, yeah, that's the one that we're going to be abusing. Typically, when doing the chaos recipe, you end up having everything you need except jewelry like rings and amulets. Good news though is that the rogue exiles tend to drop a ton of jewelry. And when we equip a few choice Rarity Gear items that are super cheap to purchase, we can get a serious amount of rares out of these rogue exiles. To sum it up, the basic strategy is that we're going to be equipping some really cheap Rarity Gear and farming specific, quick, and easy to run zones that have the rogue exiles in them and farm them for the crazy amount of rares that they drop, and then we're going to mass turn in chaos recipes, getting upwards of 120 chaos per hour farmed. So how do we do this? First and foremost, for the newer folks out there, what is the chaos recipe? Very simply, if you sell to a vendor a full set of rare items, you're going to get back 1 chaos. If you sell a full set of unidentified rare items, you're going to get back 2 chaos. The items have to be between eye level 60 and 75. Before eye level 60, you get nothing back, and 75 and above, you're going to get regal orbs instead of chaos orbs. And we want chaos, not regals right now, because that's what trades the best in the economy early in the leagues. Next on our list is what are the best zones to actually run this in. Like I mentioned, it needs to be at least eye level 60 zone. Good thing is, you can start doing this method starting in Act 8 with the Harbor Bridge zone, which surprisingly is actually the best zone in the game to do this. The layout of that zone is super straight and it's pretty short. Those two things are the perfect recipe for farming rogue exiles. Some of the other great zones that I've done in this method are as follows, and in order of what I think those best zones are. 1 being the Harbor Bridge in Act 8 like I mentioned, 2 the Tunnels in Act 9, 3 the Belly of the Beast in Act 9, and 4 the Aspirants Plaza in Merciless Lab, but only the first zone in there, since you can hop right out of it and come back in it once you're done farming it. Now I'm sure there are more good zones to do this in, and if you guys have found any other awesome zones, just let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to check them out myself as well. Also, you might want to run this strategy in maps, and that is completely fine too, since after a while of farming you won't get much XP from doing these zones in the campaign. The only issue with doing them in maps is there isn't, at least in my knowledge, a good place to find out which maps have rogue exiles in them at any given moment. That kind of brings us to our next topic here. So the way the league works is every hour, each zone gets a new Mayhem mod on it. So you won't be able to farm, for example, Harbor Bridge over and over all day long. You're going to have to wait until that zone randomly gets the Exiles Mayhem mod on it next. Same thing goes for maps. It's completely random, and there might just be no good maps out there that have good layouts that also have rogue exiles. That's why it's best to have a few zones to check every hour on the top of every hour so that you're going to have the best chance of finding a zone with rogue exiles. My strategy has been at the top of the hour, I start checking all of my top 4 zones and see if any of them have the rogue exiles. If none of them have the rogue exiles, then I continue through the campaign, or now I just start doing all my Atlas map completion again and wait around for the next hour reset. It's actually kind of nice because it gives you a chance to breathe a bit in between an hour-long farming session when you just knock out 30 zones in a row full of exiles. And speaking of 30 zones and a row full of exiles, a good tip here would be to stock up on portal scrolls. During these runs, you're going to fill up an inventory of rares in less than a minute. You're going to be going back to town to dump all your rares 4 to 5 times in a single zone. That means you also need some proper stash tab management. Now, obviously this is going to be easier with, say, quad tabs, but of course it'll work for anyone with just regular stash tabs, so you're just going to need to trade your rares out to the vendor a little bit more often. Regardless, I would still suggest you guys do a system like this to make the process getting together your full set of rares to sell to the vendor as easy and as quick as possible. The way I have it set up is I have one tab set up for helmets, gloves, boots, and body armors, and I line them up in a way that's easy to move them to my tab to sell to a vendor as quick as possible. For my next set of tabs, I just have jewelry and belts. And for my third and final set of tabs, I just have two-handed weapons. I actually don't collect any of the one-handers just because it's a lot easier to stash these two-handers. But yeah, that's how I set it up for maximum efficiency, at least for me. So I can stash and then eventually sell to vendors at a quicker pace. The quicker you can stash and then later sell, the more currency per hour you can make. Okay, so lastly and almost most importantly is the Rarity Gear that you can use to boost the amount of rares that these rogue exiles are going to pop out. Now, of course, we want to stay as cheap here as possible to maximize our profit without, of course, also hurting your DPS or anything like that along the way, so this would be the set of gear that I would suggest getting. First is the cheapest and the easiest to fit in your build, the RC's gloves. For only a few chaos, you can get 50% rarity and 15% all res, so actually a pretty nice pair of gloves in general. From there, you can get the and various rings. These can have up to 85% total rarity, but come at the cost of minus 20% all res on each of them, so only use these if you feel comfortable doing so and certainly not in hardcore. Same thing here though, you can get a max rolled one for only a couple chaos. An alternative to and various rings could be a Lahoop of All for up to 30% rarity and some nice all resists for only a couple chaos. Next is a Winter Heart Amulet. This guy only gives the implicit rarity up to 20%, but also just has some great stats with it, with 70 life, some dexterity, and 75% cold res. So overall, again, just a nice amulet and to add in here. Now, for boots, if you're going to be going low life like myself, definitely pick up Wonder Traps for the 100% increased rarity. If not, go with the Sundance boots for up to 30% for only 1 chaos. From there, if you're going to be using a shield, you could also pick up a Wheel of the Storm Sail for only 1 chaos, and that'll net you another 40% rarity. As far as helmets, you can stay cheap and spend only 1 chaos for a Peregrine, which is going to get you up to 30% rarity, or you could spend a few more chaos and get some gold rims, which have great all resists, but only 10% rarity. Lastly here is the belt, and you don't need this, but you could opt to spend a bit more currency here. I got mine for 10 chaos, and get the Bisco's Leash, which is going to give you 5% quantity and some rarity as you go through the map. Lastly, always remember that you can add in an item rarity gem to your setup for another up to 69% rarity. You'd simply just replace it with another gem when you go back to mapping or whatever you're doing normally. Overall, I spent about 15 to 20 chaos on my full rarity set and was rocking about 280% rarity. And oh man, these exiles were popping out like 10 to 15 amulets per single zone of Harbor Bridge. Like I said, in the first couple of days of this event, I farmed several hundred chaos doing this method, and honestly, I didn't even spend that much time doing it because I was also doing map completion as well. Even if you just do some of these rarity items, you're going to see a huge difference and start turning in a ton more chaos recipes. But yeah, that's all I got for this one, guys. I just wanted to get this out, a quick guide for you guys in this Mayhem event, so you guys can start banking some currency and get y'all's builds rolling as soon as possible. Hit that level 95 as soon as possible for the chance at some nice free MTX. Hope you guys enjoyed and learned a few things along the way. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also check out my Patreon and Twitch channel. They're going to be linked in the description below if you're interested in supporting me. Thanks everyone, and I will catch you guys in the next one.